darn idiot. And you know what they say about opinions, right?
Well, I don't give a damn. They like,
don't you even start your stuff.
Girl, come on. I don't give a damn. I'm ready.
You always ready. You stay ready because you ain't got to get ready.
You already know because it's about what? To each his own.
Oh, and I hope we have a successful Ramadan, sis. I forgot to tell you that.
Oh,
yes, it's been a little delayed for me for health reasons, but yes, thank you.
Well, hopefully you have a successful one. And
sure.
So we're beginning. So welcome back, guys, to another episode of Teach His Own Podcast. I am Miss Lomax, and as you guys can see, I am joined more than just by one of my best friends and co-hosts. We have parents today, so come through, okay? Come through. Chuck, you want to introduce the parents for us?
Yeah, y'all. So let's hop right into it. So today we have two of the most amazing parents that we know. We have Alyssa. Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How y'all feeling?
We feeling
Ladies,
good.
how y'all feel? Fellas, y'all all right?
Fellas, y'all all right? We got Reese in the building.
Hey, y'all, how's it going?
Good.
And thank you guys for joining us on this episode. We appreciate the fact that when we reached out to you, you guys were genuine and, first of all, giving us your schedules, because Lord knows that we are not the average Black people when it comes down to last minute planning. And we appreciate your feedback and you guys getting back to us in enough time and getting this scheduled so we can get this recorded and get it out to the people in a timely manner. So thank you, Black people. Thank you. Okay, I just wanted to put that out there. Okay, so actually we're going to start off with, I guess what some people will call an icebreaker, but we wanted to give a little scenario, right? So it's a little joke, I guess, that a parent played on their children. Shaq, did you want me to read the scenario or did you want to read it off?
Do
you have it?
I got.
Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not sure if I have it.
Right here.
Oh shit, why wouldn't I have it?
Can y'all hear me?
Your video is going out.
Yeah.
I can see y'all. Can y'all see and hear me?
We can hear you, but we can't see you.
Oh man.
Well, why the fuck would that just happen?
I
have it pulled up though. That's the crazy part. Y'all can't hear me?
Okay, there we go. We can see you.
Y'all can hear me, right?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can see you now.
All right, y'all probably not gonna be able to see me, so just bear with me.
Okay.
All
right. So here it is. So her name is Kalawana Logan. It's a meme, right? So this is something we found. We thought it was hilarious. So she said, I know this is weird, but have y'all ever tested your kids to see what they would do in a state of emergency? My kids are 6, 1, and 3. So I was really tired last night and I laid down. They was being loud and they came in my room, so I played dead. She held her breath. She said, my son says, damn, what the fuck she did, Root? She did, Noonie. I had to stop myself from laughing and knocking the other tooth out. So Noonie says, well, you get Levi, I'll get Corey, and I'll call the police on my phone. They check me again, then they leave the room. Moments later, I heard a lot of noise. I'm like, what the fuck? But I ain't get up. These motherfuckers didn't call nobody. I heard all they ass outside on scooters, strollers, skateboards. They had the whole 9 outside. I hop up, look out my window. They got hats, coats, gloves, just having a good old time. So I said, get the fuck in here. This motherfucker Kamari said, oh shit, we forgot to call the police.
Oh my goodness.
That sounds about right.
I'm familiar with that behavior though. Let me tell you why. Walking down the basement steps, and I don't know if you remember this, but walking down the basement steps, I had missed the last step, fell and broke my ankle.
Oh
My
shit.
mom was way on the third floor asleep. Aaron's running through the house on his trucks, right? He running through the house with his trucks. I'm like, Aaron, come here. He comes to the top of the basement steps. I'm like, get mom. My ankle, I think my ankle broke. He like, all right. I literally sat there for 30 minutes. This little nigga continued to play.
He ain't shit.
Yo,
My little brother would have did the
know,
same shit, yo.
Aaron is our little brother. That's why that shit is so funny.
Yo,
I
they
couldn't
ain't
see him doing
shit,
it.
yo.
So nonchalant. And so, like, you know.
Yo,
Like,
little boys ain't shit, especially when they got older sisters. They don't give a damn about us.
No, we do care about y'all. It's just y'all be doing your own thing, and y'all don't like us anyway because we the little brother.
Let me tell you something. My little brother was a little wild when he was younger, okay? And I got some stories for that one.
Well, look, I'm the youngest of two.
Oh, that you the baby. You don't even count.
I'm the baby, and as the baby and as the boy, it's kind of like my older sisters, right? I would say that they were like, they love me, like we all love each other, but I feel like there's sort of like this, there's too much envy. There's a lot of envy with like the youngest, regardless. But like if you the youngest and you the only boy, you kind of get all the attention for real. But yeah, like we try, like we love y'all, but like me and my middle sister, which is the one that's 4 years older than me, we fought all the time. But me and my oldest sister, like that's 10 years older than me, the one that used to babysit us, like yeah, like that's my.
That was me and my siblings.
Like,
me and my middle brother
that's
fought
like my
all the
second
time.
mom, for real. Like my oldest sister, that's like my second mom. But yeah, we love each other. We care about y'all. It's just, you know, a lot of times when we younger, there's too much animosity between the, you know, the younger siblings. So
no,
I'm not gonna lie. I definitely think my baby brother loved me more than my middle brother. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm not going for it. I'm not going for it.
there's a lot of animosity there.
Y'all play too much.
He probably
That's
was
the
like,
problem.
she be all right for a little bit.
Y'all ain't shit.
Now, see, I wouldn't have been shit if I'd have left his ass having an asthma attack how I used to. Now, see, now,
No.
now,
No,
see.
because you say you older, right? So you the older sister. You got
Yeah,
that responsibility anyway. You got to take care of him.
I'll take it.
Listen, I used to run up on school buses for my little brother, okay?
Yeah.
Listen,
Rumbling kids on the school bus, on the school route, and I was supposed to be in school.
Right.
Raising hell. So let
So
me
why-
ask you a question. So with the scenario I just gave you, how do you think your child would react to a situation like that? Whoever want to go first can go first. I don't know.
I'll take that. I'll take the lead on that one. Like, it sounds like in the scenario there was what, maybe 2 boys, 1 girl, or were they all boys?
It didn't
Oh,
say,
no.
I don't think. It said their
It didn't
ages, but it
say.
didn't say.
I was trying to think because I feel like it makes a difference whether it's a boy or a girl, because girls take more of a motherly role. Like that's what they want to do. They like to be in control and they like to be responsible, feel responsible, like they did the right thing. And I feel like boys are a little bit more like it take them a little minute to get there.
mm-hmm.
So I feel like my daughter would definitely immediately call 911. I would have to stop her from actually calling 911. I think she would take. Yeah, I think she would call 911. Yes, because even the smallest thing that's bothering me, if I have a headache or if my stomach's is hurting, you know, she's very attentive to me as if I'm her child already. So yeah, I know for sure she would call 911. Yeah.
Oh, she would be like the perfect older sibling.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she has a puppy, so yeah.
It's the puppy for me.
Responsible.
She has a puppy. So how would your kids respond, Reese?
Okay, so my daughter Ella, she's 9, right? And the lady, you know, my lady that I'm with right now, she has 2 kids. And how it would basically go, because I'm more so of like, I'm a really stern parent, but I'm also like the funny parent too that likes to crack jokes and I like to play around. Like we can do it all, but you know, when it's serious, it's serious. When it's not, it's not. So I think that in all honesty, like if I attempted to play dead, they would know that I'm playing, you know, because I'm more of a like I can play, I can be serious, but like if it's serious, like I don't think that I could actually be able to play dead with them because they probably kick me or something and be like, yo, you're not like
It's the kid, little Chucky.
like you sleep, like stop
Tommy.
playing. Because you know how kids are, and then like they probably stick something in my nose and be like, no, you good, like like
not the Bernie Mac, not the test you see if you breathing at night.
Now,
but they stupid. Like they probably jump on me before they be like, think it's actually
it's the jump.
So
like we gotta make sure he did
I
first.
probably end up with a knee in my eyebrow or something like that. But
oh, that's funny.
But no, I mean, if it was an actual serious situation, my lady, she has a son. He's 10. He is very like he's the definition of like he's very intelligent. He's the definition of basically a leader. And he was basically as the older sibling of him and his sister. He was always forced, like older siblings are, to take on the like second parental role. So like it would basically be him that would pretty much be like, yo man, like y'all stupid. Or if it was a real situation, then all three of them together, they work something out, and he would be the one to basically delegate. And my daughter would be there, in the supporting role because she's a year younger than him. But we try to, in a sense, have them both, since she's only 1 year younger than him, to accept responsibility and then play that authoritative role whenever we can get her to and push her outside of her box, because she's more like real quiet, like she's more quiet and reserved, my daughter. So in that sense, like I think he would take the role. But for my daughter, like she knows what to do. She knows how to call 911. She knows how to do, certain things. And I often give her scenarios for like, hey, like, what do you do if you lost somewhere, like just by any chance and you're not around anybody? Like, how do you get help? And that was a scenario that I think I had with her about 2 months ago. Because I like to make sure that, children are prepared, especially in this world that we're in right now. Because you never know, like you could just have the kids playing outside. You turn your back for 5 minutes, and next thing you know, they gone, and then you got to put out Amber Alert. We Black, so Amber Alerts don't really work for us. But the thing is that giving children scenarios is a real good idea, especially if you're trying to prepare them for something that could possibly happen. That's why they have shooter drills and fire drills and all that stuff. You got to keep going through those things so that they know exactly what to do. If that answers the question.
It did.
Okay.
Answer.
Yeah, you just provoked a thought I was having, because recently I just took, renewed my CPR first aid certification, and the instructor, I like the way he taught the class because he brought that up as an exact scenario. Like, are you prepared for an emergency? Do you have a bag where you have your important documents and non-perishable, so that way if you had to get out your house, if you had to get up in an instant and go, you would be able to do that? And would your kids know how to get out of your house from different places in the house, not just going out the front door if they can't do that? Like, you had to think about stuff like that. And, he's like, people don't realize how important that is. And, he said that's another thing that people should just keep in mind. So that really did. I mean, I'm glad that to hear that people are, taking these precautions and, talking to kids about stuff like that, because it matters. Not even just parents, aunties, anybody that, is a caregiver and plays a role in their daily lives. We need to be preparing kids for situations like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like that. That actually segues right into the first topic, though, I believe. Yes. Raising a boy or a girl. So clearly both of you guys biologically have girls, but Reese, you have a blended family. So you have a boy and a girl that you are an authoritative figure over. How have you adjusted your parenting in order to meet the needs of your child and or to be able to break some sort of negative cycles associated with it?
I'll go first with that if that's okay. So as a girl dad, as we like to call it, there's a whole lot of learning that's involved as a dad that actually is present or wants to be present or is trying to be present as much as possible, right? So I think that whenever she was first born, it's real easy to kind of, like they say, like whenever you have a kid, it changes you. Whether you're male or whether you're female, it changes you. So I think that in a sense of my daughter, she definitely like slowed me down as far as like the way that I was out here moving and shaking. Because at one point I was out here moving and shaking. You know what I'm saying? And then she came, you slow down and you start taking things a little bit more serious, about, my career path, where I'm going, what kind of jobs I'm going to have, how am I going to be able to take care of this? How am I going to be able to afford this and that and the third? So a lot of things come to light whenever you do finally have, a kid. And that's in general. I think that could probably be a general blanket statement for men and women. But as a dad, primarily having a young lady, it's interesting because there's a lot of things, that in a sense, she's exactly like me. And I hate it. Like, because she picked up on like all of the qualities that I eventually worked myself out of, like all of the personality traits that I eventually worked myself out of. And it's just to see that as a young lady, I personally don't think that those are good personality traits for her to have. Because as a young man, it's not good personality traits to have. It wasn't good personality traits to have at that time. But it's interesting whenever you start, getting closer with your kid, and then they can actually, start to articulate whatever they're trying to say. And like I said, my daughter, she's like really enclosed, like she's in a box. And that's kind of like how I was, growing up with both Scorpios. I don't know if that plays a part, but Scorpios were usually, in a sense, introverts, I think, with extroverted personalities. So we can flip it on and we can flip it off. I can joke, I can play around, but I kind of play off of the energy that's in the room. And I think that somehow children, they pick up on us as whoever we are, our personality, our spirit, without us even trying to, have them do it. But not to go too far off, the transition between having her and like being able to do all the girly, fun stuff, we playing with dolls, and then also with her, because I don't like children to be raised in a stereotypical manner, like where girls, they only got to dress up and play with dolls, or where boys, they only are supposed to do, boyish things like, ride bikes and get dirty. I think that there should be a switch between the two, because essentially, I don't want my daughter to grow up and then she can't change a tire on her car, So like I would usually try to do the girly stuff with her so that, she's like, oh yeah, I can do this girl stuff with my dad, but then also, teach her how to do other things, in the sense that, things that I was taught growing up. So we haven't really gotten into the, changing the tire, checking the oil, and, all of those other things, as far as cars are pertain, changing the brakes. I haven't really, rotating tires. We haven't really gotten into that stuff yet that I really want to get into with her. But it's interesting to, still have the opportunity, hopefully, in order to get there to do those things. And then the transition between, me being primarily what's called a girl dad into then, being in a relationship with a woman who has a boy and a girl. And then also, I would say, because this is like a very loaded question that you asked, because the transition is not like a simple transition from only really primarily focusing on, predominantly, girl things, and then trying to sprinkle in boy things so that she's like, well-rounded, to also with him trying to focus more on boy things, but then try to also cultivate his emotional side so that he can actually, be able to speak and articulate his actual feelings and not feel like enclosed off like men typically feel. Like, again, there's a lot of things that we're taught growing up that's like, yo, you can't do this because that's gay. You can't do that because that's gay. And I think that the fear of, your kid being that way, creates, especially in our culture, this very big, homophobic, attitude towards, a lot of things. Like I heard something crazy one time. Somebody said that, this dude told her brother, no, it was a lady, but this lady told me that her uncle, whenever she sent her son down to, you know, I guess with them for the summer or whatever, the uncle was telling the young boy that putting on lotion is gay. And I was like, yo, stop playing, yo. Like we can't be doing stuff like this. But like I said, the transition really wasn't an easy transition because you kind of like, as most people do, we get into patterns. And my pattern was, you know, chilling out with my daughter. You know, she knows my pattern. Like when I'm off of work, Dad, we like to chill, we like to relax. We can, you know, play some games, we can watch some TV, we can go outside. Less of the outside because like I work outside, so I don't really like to do that. Like I'm constantly on my feet, I'm constantly moving and shaking with my jobs, no matter which job I had. But with the, you know, my daughter and her kids, I mean, my lady and her kids, they are more active. They like to go outside, they like to play, they like to be in the sun. And like I said, you know, and oftentimes, like whenever I first started playing with him, and, you know, pause, but like when I first started, you know, cultivating a relationship with him, it was nice to do the transition to like, hey, yo, like, let's grab a football, let's play. But then you can also see, unfortunately, where there not being a dad around shows whenever there's a young boy, you know, present and you're trying to cultivate a relationship with them because you realize like, hey, yo, my daughter knows how to play catch, but you kind of struggling a little bit, you know, so it's nice to be able to play that role, you know, on both sides, whether it's for my daughter or whether it's for her son. But she also has a young daughter as well that like took a real strong hold to me. And sometimes you know, it's an interesting relationship because like in a sense, she's more clingy to me than my own daughter is, like, you know, her younger daughter. So it's kind of like, in a sense, like I'm playing a whole bunch of different roles, like just as being a father to my daughter, but then also trying to be a parental figure to this lady's, you know, son and daughter, because in a sense, everything that I do, however way I move, however way I act, they're all watching it, right? So I am, in a sense, whether I want to or not, I am actually these young children's definition of what a father is. And it's a lot of pressure because there's not a lot of definitions of what a father is, you know? So as a man, like I said, there's way too much pressure, and to shorten it up so I can let Alyssa go. I'm sorry, I'm a long-winded person, but to shorten it up, you know, the transition is not a real easy transition. You know, you kind of have to, you know, learn different things that you kind of, you know, are going on the fly. So, you know, with my daughter, I learned those things on the fly for what I think 4 to 6 years before I met this young lady, and then I had to switch, you know, my roles and how I portray myself as a man for her son. And that, you know, answers the question in long-winded style, my bad.
Well, after all of that, I felt like, you know, my response was it wasn't as deep. I didn't go into depth with my thoughts as far as the question, but definitely as far as my daughter, she came along 4 years into a relationship in which I had already had a stepson. So two stepsons at that. So when she came along as the only girl, you know, it was kind of difficult having 2 older boys and then a girl, and trying to, you know, include everybody in the same activities and make everybody feel included. I mean, for the most part, initially, you know, everything was cope and steady, but then the boys got even older and their interests have changed, you know what I'm saying? And now they have this little sister who's, you know, following behind X, Y, and Z, trying to be like them. But as far as me adjusting, I know a lot of parents don't feel like they have to respect their children, if that makes sense. I feel like sometimes parents, you know, feel like they don't have to apologize to their kids, or, you know, they don't have to show them, you know, like there are different ways to communicating other than yelling and, you know, saying, I'm right, you're wrong. You know what I'm saying? And I always feel like, you know, not that I have to explain myself to my child, but I try to kind of, instead of just slapping her on her behind and telling her, go ahead, this is what it is, I try to let her know why this is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So she's not going off with her head held down and like, oh, mommy's just mean and she's just saying no. You know what I'm saying? I know that's how I was brought up. It was like, what I say goes, and I know how it affected me. You know what I mean? So I try to move a little differently in that sense. And, you know, I also try to include her in my day-to-day routines because I'm always doing something. And I found myself always kind of like, you know, go play or go do this while mommy does this. And I had to realize that, you know, I should include her in cooking, doing laundry, you know, like bringing her to the salon with me, making her, you know, feel like, you know, she's not just being pushed to the side. You know what I mean? What else have I mean, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Turning off the temptation to, you know, in my free time, just do me, go off and go to happy hour or do this. I kind of like try to turn that off so that I'm not, what am I trying to say? I'm a little nervous, y'all, because I'm not used to being on camera talking.
Yo, me too. Me too. It's cool.
You've been flowing well. Keep going.
But you good?
Like, yeah, I just don't. And it's crazy because I literally just had this conversation with my daughter's father like a week ago, and I'm like, you know, all of the partying and the, you know, the nonsense and always wanting to be outside and not doing nothing with the kids. And I just feel like, you know, they're here. The kids are here. When we have that free time, let's do something with the kids instead of sending them somewhere and doing us. You know what I'm saying? Like, it starts while they're young. And I don't want to make it seem like, you know, I just had her and I'm just pushing her off. You know what I mean? So that's another way I adjusted, you know, how I parent. Like, I don't ever want my child to feel like I was just the no man, the slap on the ass. I want her to feel comfortable with me. I want her to, you know, have her feel like she's loved and wanted and not an inconvenience. You get what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of ways, a lot of parents, through their frustration and, you know, through the stress, they take it off on the kid as if they're an inconvenience. But I don't agree with that. And I've dealt with that coming up. You know what I'm saying? You know, feeling like I'm just an inconvenience to, you know, my mother or, you know, but I understand it though. I'm not, you know, shaming or anything, but, you know, my mom was under a lot of stress a lot of the time, and she didn't know how to deal with it having a kid. So a lot of the time she, you know, more so took the time for herself to go and recuperate, you know, on her free time instead of trying to, you know, build that connection with me. It was always, there was a detachment. So I want to make sure that she doesn't ever feel that way. So my adjustment is including her more in everything that I'm doing. And until she reaches, you know, because she's going to reach a certain age where she ain't going to want to be around me. You know what I mean? So while she's young now, and, you know, I try to do that. But yeah.
Can I first say that I love that. I love your point of view. I love your take on that.
Yeah.
And I really, I like this. I like the fact that, you know, Christiana, you know, Chop, decided to, you know, we
say my
do
name. They know
this.
my name. Reese. It ain't about nothing.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if you try to put your, you say out there. But I'm glad.
I hate y'all.
But I'm glad that y'all decided to do this because there's two sides of a story whenever it comes to parents. There is a father side, there is a mother side, there is a together. Like they say, whenever you're talking about what is it, like a situation, like let's say something happens, and they say that there's three sides to a story. There's your side, there's their side, and then there's the truth. And as far as it goes, there's always, whenever it comes to a mom and a dad being pit against each other because of whatever the circumstances are, there's always her side, there's his side, and then there's actually the truth. And have the fact that, you got a young lady over here who is a mom and she seems like she's a good mom. And then, I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it on my shoulder and you say, we got a young man over here who seems like he's a good dad. It seems like that there are these outliers of, maybe the mom, like she said, she gave an instance of where she talked to the actual dad and said like, yo, like we need to, actually start, pouring more into our kids. And I love that. Like, and also I love the fact when you said that, like, oh, apologizing to the children and making them feel loved. Like, I love that part too.
Yeah.
Like I went through like a self-reflective part. Like I had to go through like a lot of stuff to get to where I'm even at right now in my daughter's life. Right. I had to go through a whole bunch, like tons of lawyer fees. I spent thousands and thousands of dollars. Like, I don't even know where it came from. And the fact that, like I said, there's one side, there's the other side, and then there's the actual truth. But I love that because the last time I was with my daughter, she and I had like this real deep conversation, where I actually apologized to her for the way that I was a parent whenever she was younger. Because in a sense, whenever you have your first kid, like we don't really know what we're doing. We don't know what we're doing right now. We don't know what we're doing with our children. We don't know what we're doing with our lives. We don't know what we're doing.
Absolutely.
Right? And we only basically are a reflection of our parents whenever we have a child, because that's the only parenting style that we know. And I had to, and then of course, we're under an umbrella of, a gender. And so we're, I'm a man, I'm supposed to be this way. I'm a woman, I'm supposed to be this way. And these are the traits that I've cultivated over my lifespan to this point to where you now enter my life. And it's an interesting, like I said, like whenever you guys ask the simple question of, how did that transition work? Like, how is it, it's a hard transition because there's a whole lot of, self-reflection and introspectiveness that you had to go through in order to become a better parent. Or even the point to where you're sitting there like, yo, like, I think I'm good, but I know I can be better. Like, I think that I'm doing all right, but I also see, self-reflecting, like, I could do better in this point, but there's also things that I got to get through mentally, therapy, however way you deal with it in order to even get to that point, because you got to reflect on the parenting that you got, before you can even start to become a better parent yourself. And it's interesting, but I love that. Like I said, I had to sit down with my daughter and apologize to her, like wholesomely. Like I was crying and everything. Like, I'm tearing up because, like, yo, like thinking about it, I never really wanted to raise you that way. But there's things, that I didn't actually understand at that point in time where, now sitting back and I'm growing and I'm talking to people and I'm talking to other fathers and I'm talking to moms and, there's a whole network of, not really a network for men as far as, dads, but there's a whole network of, people in their own relationships that they had to work through as parents, and we're all trying to build off of whatever our parents did that may have fucked us up. That may have, taught us the wrong shit, if I can be candid. But we're all building off of where they left off with us. And we're trying to, make it better with our own children, but you can't even do that until you realize that your parents didn't know what they were doing that was wrong. And some of the stuff that they did to you and some of this and how the ways that you were raised wasn't necessarily in the best manner. So then you got to do like this whole, you know, now I'm looking at you sideways, mom and dad, like, you know, a little bit, and it's kind of like mentally disturbing, like, because you're like, no, like if you was a better parent, I'd be a better, like, you know, it's kind of messed up. But like I said, it's very interesting how we have to, you know, sit back as a parent, or even like in our own individual lives, even if you're not a parent, but to just sit back and reflect on like our upbringing, because it is a situation where we weren't necessarily, as you know, the culture that we're in, we weren't actually raised the way that we should have probably have been raised. And this is even going on a different tangent. So I don't want to go there because, you know, this ain't my platform.
Y'all better preach, parents, is all I'm gonna say.
That's the key to every childhood. How we were raised is the formula to how we deal with everything and I feel like one thing that I've realized is that a lot of parents will try to give their child what they lacked in their childhood, and that might not necessarily be what your child may need. You know, like you know, I know my mother, she showered me with money and gifts and, you know, staying at the mall and X, Y, and Z, because she lacked that in her childhood. So she felt like if I give her this, then she should be good, because I know that's what I needed. And that may not have necessarily been what I needed as a child. You know what I'm saying? So, and I feel like a lot of us try to do for our children what we felt like we lacked. And we need to understand that we're in different times now. That may not be your child's need. You know what I'm saying? What you felt like you lacked. You know what I mean? And to add to, you know, I know you're a stepfather as well. You have stepchildren, and that task alone is super intricate, because you have a child who is pulled in many different directions if their adult figures in their lives aren't on the same page. So you have, you know, one household, this is how they run their house. And then you have our household, and we're a little bit more, you know, structured, and, you know, and it kind of is, that's a major conflict. I know it's something that I battle with, you know, trying to make sure that, you know, the needs of my stepsons are met. You know what I'm saying? And they're used to a certain way of parenting, and the way I kind of show my love and my affection is not something that they're, you know, used to or looking for. So it's not easily accepted, which is hard for me. But, you know, trying to make, you know, I do my best to make sure that everybody's needs are met. But one thing that I feel like I no longer will bend on or, you know, coat is, you know, making sure, you know, that they like just small life skills like cleaning up. And, you know, those are things that I feel like should heavily be enforced, like, you know, making sure your hygiene, and, you know how to, you know, keep your area clean, and just small things like that, you know, they may be like, oh man, she always, you know, being mean. And no, this is something that you'll take with you for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? These are things that you'll appreciate them later down the line, and you'll realize, oh, she wasn't that bad.
Exactly. And it's that way. It's definitely that way, because they don't see that, like, hey, yo, you need to fold your clothes, and you got to wash this, and you got to clean your room. They don't see that, like, as young men and young women, whenever they get older, those are kind of like normal quality. Right. So it's like, you're taking all the fun away. I want to play my video games. Like, no, like, you gotta clean that room first.
Mm-hmm. For real, it'll definitely make or break relationships in the future, whether it's a college roommate or a person that they're dealing with and they want to move in with them. It'll definitely make or break those relationships. I'll tell you, because I've seen some rooms with some masking tape down the middle. It got real ugly about UP. I just want to know. Listen,
I know. Don't forget my freshman year roommate.
Yes. Oh, we just talked about that. Yes, she had the nerve. Okay, she had nerve. I will say that. But I really love how both of you expanded on both of your experiences. And I love the feedback that each other gave to one another,
Yes.
you know, as far as like the different things that you realize. And especially for me personally, because a lot of what you said answered some of the things that we had to ask you, or
yes, y'all went right into it. Y'all just was going
the segue
down the topics, okay?
Because, you know, one of the things that, you know, like I said, like we discuss these topics often and we bounce ideas off of one another. And it's always be like, every time we have a conversation, I lie to you, like to the point where we're like, oh my God, this would be a great topic. Because we talked about this and we even mentioned specifically what Reese said and what Alyssa said. One of the two main points was like how, you know, we weren't raised, you know, the way we were raised a certain way. So, you know, and then Alyssa goes into different thing, a different dynamic also. Mm-hmm. But a lot of what y'all said, so the whole piece that we want to get to. So I'm just going to segue right into it because I don't want to lose my train of thought. So we want to talk about the controversy around non-parents weighing in on parenting. And the reason why we feel like it's so important is because for me personally, myself, I've been seeing a lot of conversation around that. And, you know, I really wanted to just and I know within our culture, it's a lot of back and forth. And I see a lot of it on socials, like, you know, they shouldn't have anything to say, blase, blah, blah, blah. But like Reese said, just to give some forethought, no one knows what to do until they're a parent. Like, let's be clear about that. Like, you're only doing what you saw your parents do. That's what we have to expound off of until you figure out, oh shit, my child is an individual and I gotta respect it. So let me get back and let me posture the fuck up and let me adjust. So the controversy around non-parents weighing in about parenting has been such a big thing, especially within our generation. I want to know how y'all feel about this, because me and Christine have very strong opinions about that. We have very strong thoughts, but we are very open to hear. I mean, listen, because it's a reality, because, and that's why I put that as the fourth, to preface this conversation, because I feel like it's very important that he said that as a parent and as someone who takes that role very seriously, because we don't shame it, nothing like that. We take our hats off to people who decide that ultimately, because you know, it's big shoes to fill. So how do you honestly really feel about this? And is it something that you feel like that, you know, really plays a major role in how you approach shit? Like I don't know if I'm wording it right. Like, no, there's a lot of time. And then after this, we have something that we want to read to you, and then we want to see what you have to say to that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I feel like, you know, becoming a parent, I feel like is, once you become a parent, that moment you become a parent, it's instant, like, mindset shift. It's like a chemical reaction to it. You know what I'm saying? We have a chemical reaction to becoming a parent, like actually becoming a parent to your own offspring. So non-parents haven't went through that chemical imbalance yet. So I feel like their judgments, don't get me wrong. I mean, I know, like, my sisters, you know, I know they had their best interest for my child. You know what I'm saying? They may have their outlooks on things and such, but it's completely different. It's like, I tell people all the time, when I used to hear stories about, you know, something happening to a child, I would be like, oh my God, you know, that's, you know, I feel for that situation, X, Y, and Z. But then when I actually had a kid, it's a different switch. It's a different reaction. It's a different chemical reaction. It's a mindset shift that, you know, those who don't have children necessarily don't have. Now, you do have those who are, you know, you may have those who are like unable to conceive a child and X, Y, and Z, and then they go and adopt and they care for the child as theirs. So I can't say that it's impossible to or downplay a one who has never actually had their own child their views on it. So I can't downplay it, but I can say that there definitely is a difference in how, active parents view things and how they feel about certain situations opposed to those who don't have children.
The operative word in your statement was active parent.
Yeah, I
active parent.
I realized that there are a lot of parents out there who.
Yes, it was active parent. That was the operative word in that statement, because I totally get what you're saying. I'm glad you went into the parents who are unable to have children, unable to conceive biologically, and those who adopt. And it's actually crazy because that's another story for another day, because we're going to get into adoption on a whole another day. But then there's like those, like I'm a godparent. So, and I think that chemical reaction that you were referring to, I feel like it was absolutely synonymous with the protective factor. And I feel like the scale of the protective factor, I feel like there's a scale with the protective factor. So I feel like there's people like myself who I used to work with children who are literally paid to have the same protective factor that a parent biologically has for their child. Because there are non-active parents, and that's why I said that operative word in your statement, there are non-active parents who don't fulfill that responsibility for a child that they had, but someone else literally made the decision to step up and fulfill the role to make sure that this child was protected at all costs. And that's why I feel like it's unfair to say that children, well, people who do not have children cannot protect in the same manner, because we absolutely can. Because I'm like I said, I'm a godmother. I'm going to die over my godchild. And to be quite honest, as a parentified child, I look at my younger siblings, my brothers, that's the same. They're both adults at this point, but my protective factor over them was the absolute same. And so I ran up on school buses. I'm going to die about mine. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I feel like that's where there becomes maybe just a scale for a protective factor, because again, there's mothers, there's fathers who have children out there that there's a disconnect, there's no relationship, because although they made a decision to have children, they also made a decision to say, screw them.
Maurice, you got any thoughts? Because I'm gonna save mine for after when I read this thing. Because I'm just gonna save everything I got to say for after.
The way my mind works. So I graduated from IUP with a sociology degree. I can actually be a therapist if I decided to. Unfortunately, when my daughter came, the jobs that I started to acquire paid more than entry level into, a lot of those positions. So as a sociologist, we're taught to look at many different sides, not just one side. So in that question, I hear many different variables, and I then start to pose a lot of different questions. So, where are we looking at as far as like non-parents? Are we talking about the dad that's not around, the mom that's not around? Are we talking about, the people like Chrissy said who, are godparents? Are we talking about biologically? Are we talking about, whatever we're talking about? But I think that if you have love for the kid, I think that's kind of like the thing that mainly matters the most, because like Alyssa said, that there's so many people who want to have children but can't. And if they adopt a kid, who's to say that, somebody could say, well, you're not their biological parent, so you never went through, whatever it goes, whatever the process is of, making a child and then, having that, chemical reaction. And I think that in a sense would be unfair for that person, because they did open up their home and they opened up their lives and, they opened up their hearts to that kid. And then you have the non-active parent who, maybe they don't have primary custody of their kid and they're off doing their own, individual life. But, you have them maybe from time to time wanting to check in and say, hey, well, I would like for this to happen. I would like for that to happen. It's kind of unfair to say, well, you know, you're not around, so you don't really have any, you know, say over what's going on in the household. But I get it. You know, you can get it. Like I can side with every single side, right? Because on one side you got the parent who, you know, is the parent. Like they are the parent. They are the biological other side, you know, to the other side of the parent, right? And they should have say, you know, but you know, I get also the other parent, whether it's the mom or the dad, and the mom's, you know, a POS or the dad's a POS. However way you're looking at it, whichever parent isn't around should still have a little bit of say. Obviously, you're not going to give them a whole, you know, like whole, you know, glob of it. But, you know, I think that there should be a sort of system with parents, whether you're going to be an active parent or not, to, you know, have some sort of say in something. Then you got the people who, you know, friends or family members that aren't actually the parent of that kid or whatever, that want to have their own reflection or their own input on how you're raising the kid or how the kid's being raised or whatever. There's the what is it? It takes a village mindset, right? So for people who do have children, of course, you should have the primary say over, you know, how that child is raised and how things are going about. But then as a parent, we do also have to look at others' perspectives. And as people, we have to look at others' perspectives, because it's just the same way how I could say something to you and you could take offense to it. And it's not that I said it wrong. It's just your perspective, how you perceive what I just said, comes off as offensive, right? So, and I can't make you hear or listen to anything that you're not willing to listen to anyway. So I guess in that sense, it's kind of like, you know, keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth. Like, don't tell me how to raise my kid whenever you're not the one that's right here doing this shit, you know? So there's also that mindset too, that I think sometimes get wrapped up in. Like, no, you're not going to tell me how to do this shit if you're not the one doing this shit. Like, yo, get the fuck out of here, you know? But also, you know, like I said, in everything, we do kind of have to sometimes take a step back and say, okay, well, you know, if I thought that I was raising my kid properly whenever I first started raising my kid, if I thought that what I was doing at that point in time were good things, but I'm going off of my perception, I'm going off of how I was raised, I'm going off of, you know, my thought process. But somebody on the outside looking in can also offer a little bit of insight. It's just like your single friend. Your single friend will tell you all the time, like, yo, if I was in a relationship, this is what I would do, boom, bam, bam. And you sitting there like, as the friend in a relationship, like, yeah, that's good, but you're not in a relationship, sis. Like, you're not in a relationship, bro. Like, don't tell me, you're not going to tell me.
I like the comparison though.
Tell me what to do in my relationship, because if you knew what to do, you'd be in one, right? Like, yo, but you know, I think that sometimes, like, I don't think that people who don't have children or who aren't parents don't also have input.
I just want to say thank you. And Chuck, before you go, I just want to say real quick, he must have been sitting in the walls or something when we was doing this segment, because I swear to God, he said several things, both of them actually. When I tell you, you said several things, I mean like verbatim. That's some scary shit.
Yes.
That's some scary shit.
I'm gonna disappear and I'm gonna read this. So I was on Facebook, y'all. Again, Facebook be having it too.
Facebook be bringing it out.
So I was on Facebook perusing down my screen, and I just so happened to land on someone's status, and obviously they were having a conversation. I don't know what the context is. It's kind of there, kind of not. We can take from whatever we want to make of this. I'm just gonna read it. So I personally think that when somebody says you don't have kids, you don't understand what I'm going through, is one of the dumbest statements I've ever heard. I don't have kids yet because people who think like that give me a daily crash course on realizing how important it is when choosing the correct person to have kids with. At least be smart enough to realize that shit is annoying. Shit is an annoying ass statement. That was the exact status verbatim. So what I personally took from that was a couple things. And like we said, Reese touched on a lot of things. There's a dynamic here. So obviously from what I'm reading, it sounds like this person had like, a conversation with somebody about maybe a situation where the co-parenting just ain't there. Like it's not working. It's not giving what it's supposed to give. And he's basically saying like, I chose to take my time because I don't want to go through that, because every day you reminded me of how important it is to vet motherfuckers when it comes to making a choice like this, because it is that important. And I can agree with that to a very, very high level. I really can. But underneath on the status, it's so crazy that you said what you said, because I said it takes a village also. That was one of my answers, because as of someone who has been dealing with kids for a very long time, one of my first jobs was to care for children at the tender age of 13, because someone felt like I was responsible enough. Now, the average 13-year-old, you ain't gonna leave them with 3 kids, but me, they did. So I learned a lot from that. Like I had to watch them for a whole summer straight, and then I got to know them, everything. And then there was also a child present with special needs, so I had to figure and think about it. That's a young age to be trying to figure out how not to trigger a child when you don't even know where to begin with. So I only did what I saw other people around me do. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And to speak to the parentified child comment that Christine made, I can agree with that also, because I'm the eldest of 5 children. But as far as like when it comes to the like me and Autumn, because we had the same mind, being in the house with her, what I was responsible for on a daily basis was I had a very big role to fill. I was expected to come home from school, make sure she got home, make sure homework was done. If my mom wasn't home in time enough because she was in traffic, I was responsible for starting dinner, at least so when she got in, she could take over and shit could get rolling. I was responsible for all of that. So I do agree that I do think that people like me, myself, can give insight, because like Reese even said, again, to go off of one of the other points, because I got a mental tab in my head. He feels like his elder sister is his second mother. And a lot of times when we have different conversations, my mom says that's how probably my sister views me, because I'm mother hen. And Alyssa even jokes and calls me that sometimes. And it's like, I'm not trying to be a mother, but I just feel like sometimes maybe if I say certain things to you or weigh in a certain type of way and take off all right, sometimes I got to take off the cis hat and I got to put on my woman to woman hat, because it fucking takes that kind of situation. But I feel like it gets touchy on certain topics with certain people when it comes to certain things, because I feel like you also, as a person who doesn't have children, have to take a step back and respect the fact that this person is dealing with this person, their kid, hands on, day in, day out. But the other side of me fights with that, because it's like I was a whole preschool teacher. I spent 8 hours of every waking day from Monday through Friday with your child. I probably spent more time with them than you had time to that week, because you had to work. So why can't y'all give us a certain level of respect? But I do feel like there's boundaries and they need to be established. And it just needs, I think it's different when it comes to different people. And it depends on the dynamic of your relationship with that parent. So I think that sums it up for me. I'm sorry, y'all. I was trying not to be long-winded.
I'm long-winded all day long, and it's definitely the boundaries, Anna, because it's like you said, as a teachers. So like yes. One of the things that you're taught in sociology is that parents are the first, ones that get to teach their children, right from wrong, up and down, blah, 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 however way you want to go about it. We're the ones that are introducing the kid to the world. And then after that, it runs into teachers. Because teachers are the ones that are with your kid 8 hours a day, 7 hours a day, however way you want to look at it. And to sit there and say that that your kid's teacher doesn't know your kid after being with them for the past 4 months, 8 hours a day, is ridiculous. So if your teacher, and obviously boundaries, because you can't just tell me what to do with my kid, but you can, I know that you there with my kid, you watching my kid develop, interact, things that my kid is comfortable with doing around you because you're not their parent. Mm-hmm. I may not even get a chance to see. So I also got to be able to take, whatever advice that you may even see. Like, I think that some parents may even want to sit down with the teacher and say, yo, at these parent teacher conferences, like, yo, all right, so you've been with my kid for the last, 3 months. Like, what's up? Like, what's good? Like, what do I need to know? Like, how is my kid interacting with other kids, and like not on no surface level shit? Like, is my kid okay? Like, You know, are they standing up for themselves? Because one thing that we do know as parents is that our children act a particular way in front of us, and then they act a particular way in front of their own friends, and then they act another particular way in front of, you know, authority figures. And even us today, you know, it's a weird thing. And I'm sorry, I'm about to go on a tangent real quick, but I'll bring it back around. But this whole concept of people who have multiple personality disorder, when we all have that, we all have multiple personality disorder because we all act particular different ways with particular different people. So like, I can sit up here and talk to y'all this way, but I'm not going to talk like this with my mom. You know, my mom don't know the way that I act and interact when I'm out here on the streets, because I have a certain different respect level for my mom. My sister, different respect level. Y'all different respect level. My friends, people that I don't know when I'm at work, like, you know, we even got what's called the white voice when we want to be professional. Like, we got so many different personalities whenever we outside in these streets. So, you know, people may see different sides of our kids, and we may want to listen to what they're seeing, what they're saying, like, you know, because like, yo, you seeing a different side. Like, when my kid with me, she could be the most timid person in the world, and I'm always trying to get her to open up. But I know when she out here in these streets, she's not the same person. Like, you know? So somebody else could see something different. But
thanks, because I was cussing real early, and I was not saying none of that around my mom.
Right, exactly.
Listen, my dad walked in on us cussing one day. That shit was funny as hell. I'll never forget it, yo, man. He scared the hell out of us that day. That was a funny day, yo. That was a funny day.
That is
what
funny.
you say?
I mean, no, I know, was it you that cussed?
It was all of us was cussing, but you know that Autumn, she
look at Alyssa's face. She like, Alyssa, your little ass was cussing too.
I was. Because I was laughing. My mom be like, your dad called me. He said, that fucking Autumn. She was cussing up a storm. He said, I ain't know she had it in her like that. Damn.
Girl, my favorite word was fuck. When I was a kid, everything was fuck.
You hear like, as a parent, you hear the base of the curse.
Yes, like you know how to use it. Like that came from some sense of experience.
You critiquing how they use the word in a sentence. Like, no, I wouldn't have used it like that. But damn, they used it like that. Oh, that shit crazy.
I know at times y'all have moments as parents like where y'all have to maybe discipline or enforce some shit with your kid where y'all really want to laugh. And y'all gotta hold that shit in. Cause my guys gonna do that shit all the time. I'm always having a moment I wanna shit. It make you like kind of second guess him and you wanna fuck him up, but you wanna laugh at the same time. Cause it's like if you was an adult that said that shit to me, it would have been on. But because you were a kid, I gotta hold myself together. Like seriously.
You gotta do stuff like that. You gotta do stuff like that, yeah.
Well, I think I love both of you guys' responses. The conversation, I think, was absolutely awesome. We kind of switched the ways that we were going to do the topics a little bit, but we did have one more that we kind of wanted to get into, and it's a little touchy, so take a deep breath. I mean, in my opinion, it's a little touchy. We wanted to talk about what's your opinion on maybe how do you identify maybe predatory behaviors and kind of interject that in your parenting styles and things like the new school version of like the social equality clubs that they have in schools and having certain things exposed to your child without you exposing it to them first.
You want to go first?
It's a deep one.
It is. It's very.
Sorry to rabbit on the D, but we needed to. It was so good. We got to know.
I just was mentioning to Anna that, you know, of course, you do everything. You know, it starts home. You do everything in your power to keep your child like this. It's when they go outside and their mind starts to wander because now they're exposed to things that you kind of wanted maybe to wait a little later to discuss. And, you know, I wholeheartedly believe in being 100% raw with my kid, only because the time that we're in right now, you got to keep it always funky because it's worse as far as this free world, you know what I mean? So, you know, I was just saying to Anna the other day, you know, we're watching simple cartoons that I used to watch, and they're remaking movies where, you know, the fairy godmother is a man, or you know, on the cartoon they have a gay male friend, and you know, she's like, well, why does he have on lip gloss, or you know, why, oh my God, you know. So it's like I just and my daughter's 4, so, and she has older brothers, so it's kind of like we deal with it on different levels, but it's the same damn thing. She's being exposed to you know, children who come from different households where, you know, this, you know, the friend, you know, the mother may have different men running in and out the house, or X, Y, and Z. So just dealing with that on its own. She doesn't really, in school, she's not really, they haven't really introduced, you know, some of the harsher topics of the world because she's still in pre-K. But I don't know, man. It's rough and it's hard because I feel like the world is forcing you to parent differently and to talk about differently. It's like we're being forced into talking to these things because they're implicating all of these topics into basic everyday things. Commercials are different. You know, something on a billboard might say something different. It's like, oh, well, what's that? Or what's this? And it's kind of like, I really didn't. I didn't expect to have to explain it so early.
And that's what I was going to ask you. Like you said, your daughter is 4, and kind of knowing, like you said, you have that different level with your stepson. So knowing that it's coming, and knowing that it's so much coming at you outside of the home at once. Like, when do you feel like it may be appropriate, maybe, to start inserting those conversations?
I feel like if I feel like I don't know. I mean, just keeping a close eye on who they're around, what they're around, the kind of people that they're around, and understanding the different environments that they're injected into, and knowing that, okay, she may have seen this, or they may have seen this, or a girl may have shown them this, or, you know, so it's kind of like you kind of have to feel for it and know when it's the right time. And you'll know if you're on the right track, and if it was the right time to talk about it because of their reaction. I feel like the kids, the way they react, like if you bring up a topic like, you know, a girl, you know, being sexually active, or a girl, you know, coming on to, you know, my stepson sexually, you'll know if he was exposed to it because they'll start to chuckle about it, or, you know, start to laugh about it. Like, yeah,
the chuckle.
Or my daughter, she'll do like one of those little, like, she'll like kind of put her head down and kind of smirk a little bit. And it's like, yeah, I know you've seen it. Let's talk about it.
Right.
So, I mean, just knowing their surroundings, honestly.
I didn't want to cut you off. You good?
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Okay. This isn't. See, the nice thing about the woman that I'm with right now is that she challenges me intellectually. We challenge each other. Me as a person, I need intellectual challenges on a day-to-day basis. I like to, you know, try to put myself in the way that I think. My mind is all over the place. So like I got 16 different answers to this question that you asked. But I think that this particular topic is something that she and I have, you know, covered before. And she even told me, you know, in a sense that like, yo, and I've told her, like, it's funny because we do it to each other, but it's like we do it at different times, trying to let the other person like know, like, hey, this is something that you might want to talk about now. This is something that you might, because we're giving each other insight, which kind of goes back to the other question of like, you know, non-parent. Like, when are you, like, when you're saying non-parent, like, what are you talking about? Because I'm a non-parent to, technically, biologically, to her children, and she's a non-parent to my kid. But like, we're still giving each other insight. And sometimes, though it may be hard to even hear, because it's like, yo, this ain't your kid for real. Like, sometimes, like, you know, like, let me do what I'm doing, but still got to listen. But with the technology that we have right now, and also the things that they're secularizing. And before I even get into that topic, I'm going to first state that, my best friend, his name's Ken, and he is, an out man, so he does his thing. And he and we typically have very good conversations. He's another person that, challenges me intellectually. Like I love having conversations with people where we can just sit back and debate about anything intellectual, like, or, just diving into a particular topic further than what most people may actually go into it. But he's introduced me to so many different things, about the culture whenever it comes to the LGBTQIA community that, opened up my eyes as, just a Black man in America. Because, again, Black men in America, we have this super masculine energy that we have to portray at all times. We can't ever be I guess vulnerable, right? We can't ever really show that side of ourselves, even though it is a side of ourselves, right? So when I'm talking about the secularization of certain things, I'm talking about specifically that community being the more guiding force of what's becoming normal. And, and even, thinking about the things that whenever I was younger and the things that I actually observed growing up, that as children, we don't say anything about. So, it's kind of hard to sometimes say like when you're supposed to introduce a topic to your kid, because lo and behold, they may already have seen or observed exactly the topic that you don't want to talk about. But the thing is that we don't want to talk about it because we're not comfortable talking about it yet. It's not that your kid doesn't want information about it. So it's a little bit different. We may not be comfortable with telling our children about sex because we're still going back to our childhood. Okay, so whenever I was 12, 13, this is when sex was kind of like introduced to us in our classrooms, and they, bring out the banana with the condom and the, abstinence is the best way to not get STDs, that whole talk. But they're doing that to children at 9 and 10. And then we have technology now that where if you're not mindful what your kid is doing on their tablet and you're not putting parental controls on your kid's tablet, you are opening your kid's ability to access all of that information, because these websites, all of the porn websites are free. Pornhub, you can go on Twitter, you can catch all there, you can go on Discord, you can go on all these different websites right now and apps to get porn. And all you got to do is click the button that says, are you 18? It's not checking ID for that shit. So, you have a 11-year-old boy, a 10-year-old boy, like my lady does, and I always try to put her on game. I'm like, yo, he's 11. I mean, he's 10, yo. Like, in the technology age that we're in right now, they already watching porn on their phones at school. They probably already experimenting with themselves. They probably already masturbating at 10 and 9. Yeah. They probably already and she don't want to think about that because she's like, well, that's my little boy and I don't want to think about shit like that. But it's like, yo, you do have to think about that because in all reality, by the time he gets to 12, when he would have quote unquote been at puberty, like when we were kids, we were playing catch a girl, kiss a girl, catch a girl, freak a girl. Like we weren't telling our parents that we was doing that at 11 or 10 or 9. Like we was outside playing that, right? So I don't think that I'm the only one that had that experience growing up. Like we was outside on the playground playing those games, right? But right now, when we're talking about, when do we introduce this shit to our children? It's, it's kind of like what my lady said to me is, you want to be the first one to introduce it to them, so that no other source they're not getting the information from another source other than you, their parent. So it's kind of like you're sitting there and you're just judging, like, is it a good time? Like, no, okay, wait. You kind of, in a sense, like we playing double dutch. You like, all right, is this the time? Is this time?
It's the double dutch comparison.
Hold on. We about to jump in. And then you like, it was, it's it. And like, like we in there now. So now we got to jump in because, like I said, because we got technology, because we have these things that are being shoved down everyone's throats, whether you like it or not. And we have to be mindful. And if our kid has a question, they're going to get it answered, whether it's from us or through somebody else. And the problem is that if we don't answer it, then they'll probably get the wrong information before they get the right information. So, you know, as far as it goes, it's just basically, if your kid's not the person, and what I was also told is, you know, trying also allowing you to have these conversations with your kid and allowing you to be the first one to have this conversation. It also in the future may allow your kid to come to you with other questions that they may not have gone to you for if they would have gotten that sex information from one of their friends who don't really know the shit. You know, because imagine, like, I remember when we used to be in the bathroom as little boys, right? And we all in the bathroom and we talking about sex. While we in the bathroom, going to the bathroom break, right? We line up, we go to the bathroom, we in the bathroom, we talking about sex. Okay, one of the questions is, and sorry fellas, I'm trying to put this out here, is how many holes does a girl have? We talking about this in the boys' bathroom, right? So we talking about sex. Oh, did you kiss a girl yet? Oh, did you finger a girl yet? Oh, did you have sex with a girl? We talking about this in the boys' bathroom. We're talking about this at recess. We're talking about this at lunch. You know, so as a young boy, it's probably more important for young boys to even get that first, because mind you, young boys got older brothers, young boys got older siblings, young girls got older brothers, young girls got older siblings that are women, you know, that they are actually observing, they're looking at this stuff. And you may not even think that you're doing something that's giving your kids questions that they're going to go ask one of their friends about.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, because I'm kissing on your mom, now when you go to school, and little kids love to imitate, now your little daughter, your little son, they want to go to school and kiss on all the little other boys and all the other little girls, right? So now you gotta go to school with the little parent-teacher conference, and they like, yo, your daughter out here, your son out here doing this and that, you know, and that's not even really. And now you're entered into the conversation with your kid, like, oh, well, that's a mommy and daddy thing. That's that's the only things that you do when you're in love, and it's very interesting to, like I said, and sorry, let's wrap it up here. It's very, we don't know. You don't know when, you don't know, you don't know, right? You kind of play
all of that, so we don't know.
Right, you play it by ear, you judge it off of your kid, but yeah, in a sense, I was told that you also want to kind of introduce these subjects as well, because in America, we do also tend to try to save the whole sex thing and take it out of the equation, and don't never really want to touch on like sex and love, and like how all of that is actually intertwined, and what being an adult really is, whether you're a male dating a man, or a man, you know, dating a woman, or a woman dating a woman, or if you want to get into the transgender community, or, you know, or we just get into cross dressers, however way you try and get into it, there's so many different levels of it. And you don't know when you're supposed to introduce it, but at some point in time, you got to sit there and think, okay, so, you know, my son, my daughter, they're on the tablets all day long. Did I put the parental controls on? You know, are they able to view stuff that I don't want them to view? Because if you don't, like, you don't know what your kid knows. You don't know what your kid's seen. You don't know any of that stuff. But, you know, I guess the best way to do it is to try to protect your children. But as I said, as in school, as a young boy, we were talking to each other. I'm getting game from, you know, the other little boys who have been, you know, who experienced other shit than what I experienced. So they telling me how many holes a girl got, like what it looked like, what the color is. And I'm taking that information, and that's now in my head until I start doing it. And we start, you know, having your own experiences. Then you like, oh, them niggas was lying. They didn't know what the fuck they was just talking shit. Like, cause for real, you know.
And I'm glad that you touched on that point, that, you know, you were talking about it with your peers, because I often tell parents, as a non-parent who gives, you know, tidbits and advice and suggestions to parents, because I never want to feel like I'm trying to tell them how to parent. Right. I'm like, listen, and I've said it on our platform before, make sure you're teaching them the correct terminology when it comes to their genitalia, that they know what it's called, because in the court of law, it gets sticky, and if they ain't saying what it is, then how is it niggas can't guess. That's
Right.
just to put it in the lamest terms ever.
Let me
It's not a pocketbook.
add to that.
It's not a bubble gum. It's not a kitty cat.
Right.
It is a
Yes.
vagina. It's
Yes.
a vulva,
Those
whatever.
your nipples. Yeah,
You know
absolutely.
what I'm saying? So, you know, be
Penis.
very candid about that and teaching them, you know, what appropriate touch is. And also knowing that children can be predators too. Like, let's be real here. So you have to watch the behaviors of the people, you know, their peers, and you have to check out that. Because listen, coming up, I wasn't allowed to spend a night out like that. Like, we really, like, coming up, me and my siblings.
So with family members' house.
You know, had children with other women. You know, we were at each other's houses a lot coming up. Like that, those were my friends, my first friends were my siblings. So we was around each other a lot. But don't get me wrong, we had friends, and trust me, we had shit that was coming from outside, like, oh, you heard of this, you heard of that. Like, we wasn't, you know, none of that shit was flying. But my mom definitely had a cast iron fist when it came to certain things. Like, she didn't even want me listening to CDs with cursing. So when it came to sex, it was just like, she asked us questions, but, you know, I feel like what we're taught in school really does not prepare us for what's really out there. I will say that. I feel like health barely gives you the bare minimum. Like we said, the condom with the banana is not cutting it. We need to know the ins and outs of sexual reproduction, what our bodies are designed to do, the healthy way to go about it, and how to protect yourself and others when you're making the decision to sleep with people, and what is acceptable and what is not. Because I feel like children are very impressionable. They really are, and they are exposed to a lot because of the internet. That's just what it is. And predatory behavior come in the most minute things that you wouldn't think, and they're even to a grander scale. So it's like how you harness that is really just based on, you know, what you expect and what you want out of your household.
And that predatorship is very important because let's be very clear, predators don't just pop out the air as an adult. That behavior develops over time.
R. Kelly, hello.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it may have even happened to them, and now it's something that they're repeating.
Yeah.
So we can't overlook that. Like, sometimes the predators were once victims.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yes, because I have a friend who's a parent. She was surprised when she checks her son's social, she checks the phone, the text messages, she checks the Instagram, and it's not even necessarily that he was doing anything again, because his mind is all he want to do is draw and do, you know, characters and stuff. That's what he's into. But you got this page with that's sending messages and you're to him trying to reach out and say, you know, on a quote unquote innocent basis, and she's clicking on the page and it's like, what type of shit are they drawing? And it's like, I don't want to.
When you're exposed to things as an adolescent, when you're exposed to things prematurely, you immaturely process it. Children don't know how to handle what they just were exposed to, and they secretly try things with other children. Like I've seen it happen so many times where, you know, a child was exposed to sexual activity, and now with their male cousin, it doesn't even have to be now with their male cousin, they want to kind of poke around a little bit and let's get under, like the most craziest things can happen from a child being immaturely exposed to something of that nature. And you definitely got to keep an eye on who your children are around, because I feel like as their peers, they more so are drawn to their leadership over the parents, because
that's what they trust the most.
Actually want to rebel against, you know, our direction. So you got it. That's a touchy subject.
And I think that's why it's so important to do what both of you guys said. You got to monitor. And I think thank you, Reese, for saying this. Just all that to get back to the fact that, you know, you just don't know. It's a touch and go basis. It depends on the child. You just got to monitor their surroundings, monitor what they're doing, know how your child is able to be receptive of information. Because I would damn sure say now that as an adult, I would definitely prefer to have gotten all of my sexual information from my parent in the most sit down, raw, conversative way, just to get it from them. Because like you said, y'all going out and y'all talking to each other and y'all don't know shit. Or you kids, whether it's other friends or family members, and now as adults, we're like, well, what the fuck is going on? When really, if we were having those conversations with them, no matter how early, unfortunately, because you can have a 5-year-old who's super overexposed, and a 5-year-old may need to have that conversation now.
And it's
because
interesting
of what they've been exposed to.
Yeah, I was watching a documentary on Netflix, and it's called like the Pleasure Principles, and it's strictly about female pleasure and what we get pleasure out of, and it's like like this, debunking myths. And this one woman spoke about that. She said as early as 5 years old, she just said had the urge to masturbate, and she will often get caught by her parents. And she said her mother never sat her down and talked to her about what she was doing with herself and what was appropriate and what wasn't. She kind of always just burst in the room like randomly and kind of like gave her a look of shame, like, I don't want you to do this. She said, although she never said those words to me, it was like the look of disapproval on her face that I would get. It never stopped me from doing it. It just only made me wonder more, like, what's
What
going
is it
on?
about it that you want?
I couldn't fight the urge that I had. She said, I used to masturbate a lot. So and I thought that was I'm like, damn, I gotta mention that because I thought that was very interesting because to her, it was just from a place of nature. So she like, well, I mean, I knew it felt good. That's all I knew.
I'm about to say, yeah, I've heard that story before, and just one day she rubbed up against herself. It felt good, so she kept doing it.
Yep.
And as a dad with a daughter, those are things that, like moms with sons, those are things that most men probably don't even really want to even think about. Like men, we don't want to think about our daughters being sexual or being sexualized. So, it's like, well, no, why are you putting her in the tights? Like, we think the tights is over. Like, we can't, like, we're not putting her in tights. Okay, well, the tight clothes where she's starting to bud. No, we're not wearing no more tight shirts no more because now she's starting to bud. Now she's starting to develop. We can't keep doing that shit, But because that's the thing is that like it's hard to like when we talk about predators and who we think are predators. And here's one of the things that I don't like that I have been talking about is the fact that we label men as predators or weirdos whenever they say, oh, well, that's a cute young lady right there. And then we're like, whoa, nigga, like, what the fuck is you talking about? Like, don't be talking to my daughter like that. Get the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? But we don't do that with women whenever they say, oh, well, look at the handsome young man. Like, first of all, now we got teachers that are having sex with 10, 12, 13-year-old boys now. And it's not that it wasn't ever there. It's just that it's now starting to be, blown up, and people are actually now starting to see that. So, and I think that there's for lack of a sense, a lack of equality whenever it comes to even labeling women as, predators as well. And we need to start labeling more women as predators because a lot of times, in most cases, like when we're talking about these abductions, like sometimes and in most cases it's women that are grabbing these children. It's women that are grabbing these young girls and these young boys and putting them into this sex slave trade because nobody's going to question a mom and her kid because if a kid is crying like, no, I don't want to go with you, and the mom's like, oh, come on, like you're not going to say, well, hold up, is that your kid? Right. But if a man grabs a young kid and the kid's like, oh, I don't want to go with you, like people be like, oh, well, let's start taking pictures. Like, where's his license plate? You know what I'm saying? So like, it's a little bit easier for a woman to just jump out there and, start doing this shit. And I think that we need to really start putting a light to that as well, because things that go under the rug, like they say, was done in the dark comes to light eventually. But, if we don't, say anything about it, then it can continue to happen in various different communities, whether we're talking about black, white, or whatever. But with my daughter and her being like a real quiet individual, like that's the reason why my lady was like, yo, you may want to start talking to her about certain things because she's not going to ask you. And, and if she's not asking and she's at school and she's getting the information, then, the whole I'm putting on my underwear or whatever. Oh, that felt good, or I'm washing myself. Oh, that felt good. Like, or even like, periods and stuff like that, so it's just getting into like the nitty gritty as a man who's raising a young lady is, I may not want to talk about it, but I may have to because just to prepare her, because on a certain sense, I don't know what her mom's talking about. And I don't know how deep her mom is going into it. So just as a secondary, course of action is to make sure that if I'm going to talk about it, that I'm going to, say my version of it. So now she's got her mom's version, she's got her dad's version. She's got two authentic versions of whatever it is that we're talking about, if we're talking about the same thing. And she can go ahead and, take that information, out there into the world and hopefully be great.
You better come on there and stand on it. First of all, I appreciate you calling out the female predators, okay?
Yes.
Being the only man and standing on there, okay? Come on and call them out.
But more men should, because a lot of times when they go through things and they have those experiences where they're exposed to sex early at a young age, it's an older woman who is preying on them.
Always an
and
older.
people and it's been normalized to be like, oh, you just getting your little rocks, your first little rocks off. No,
Right.
There's no way a woman that age should be having sex with a child. Okay. Like,
And then as a man, we get cool points for that shit too.
yeah.
I was about to say that.
It's like, oh, you fuck the teacher, oh, you fuck Miss. Like, yeah, we get cool points for that shit too.
That's
So
not
But she's a predator, period.
Period.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yo, y'all
That got real deep, y'all.
Yeah.
better come pass that offering plate, because it's been a good subject.
Yes, child. Let me get a little offering plate on.
Yes. When we were talking about how boys, how they used to the conversation in the boys' bathroom, it made me think of a topic I was just talking to my boyfriend about. We were watching like a black cinema movie, and low budget John, and the girl, it was like five dudes that came out of the room after having sex with this girl, and I said, I understand that's like a thing, like that's what guys do, like that's glorified, but did it ever dawn on you that the fact that y'all were taking advantage of that girl was like a mental disconnect? That's not even like, that's cool, but it's cool to y'all, but it's disgusting to me that is glorified, taking advantage of this young lady like that. And that's what came across my mind when he was talking about the conversations they used to have in the bathroom. And it was like, it's kind of like, I really hope that in the years coming that we can kind of redirect our young men to kind of uplift our women, our young women, and kind of sway things, because that's another way that little girls find validation. They feel like, oh, because they all like me, I'm cool. And it's messed up. I think it's crazy. And I need more boys, because it starts at a young age, to I need our men to redirect our young men, basically, and let them know that is that's not mentally, that's like a disconnect. It's an illness to me. That's how I look at it. It's a mental illness that y'all glorify taking advantage of a young lady like that. Is disgusting.
And mom too, because I think your point of view matters also as a woman, because ultimately they're going to be dealing with women. So I think both of those perspectives should definitely be on one accord and one page, because it's like, all right, I got my dad telling me how to talk to women, how to treat them, how to be respectful, and more importantly, giving me the tools to be emotionally intelligent and self-aware, so that I know that when a woman, she may say yes initially, but when we go to lay down, if she feels uncomfortable, if she shows any sign of uncertainty, I need to check back in with her and to make sure that I have consent, period. Bottom line.
A lot of our women lack self-respect, and the men too. It goes both ways. Like, of a woman is a lack of self-respect, and for you as a woman to allow it, it's sad, honestly. And I'm a woman who prides herself on self-respect. I don't, you know what I'm saying? And I realize that a lot of my peers lack that self-respect. For their
I don't let nobody play with me. Tell them again, sis.
It's definitely the lack of self-respect, especially whenever it comes to men. And, unfortunately for us, it's glorified by us to have 15, 16, 30 different, 20, 100 different partners. It does work to your benefit, though, because then you actually know what to do. So, I mean, a woman also likes a man who knows what to do, too.
They are sexual, yes. And we as humans, we are sexual beings. Yes.
We can't get away from that. We can't get away from that either. But I think that, it is a lack of self-respect. It is a lack of what I like to dumb it down to as emotional intelligence. For young men, what actually ends up happening is it's a lack of growing up, being in touch with your emotions. So, like, yeah, you could say, well, you know, we're taking advantage of this young lady, but did she not come over here and did we not tell her that me and the squad was about to run a train? You know, so, you know, if she put herself in that predicament, am I going to be the one sitting there like, hey, yo, fellas, we probably shouldn't do this, you know? But and then the squad be like, all right, well, nigga, you can leave because we still about to get it popping. You know what I'm saying? So, but like, honestly, I've been in be vulnerable. Like I've been invited to a train, but like personally, I didn't want to be in the room with all them dicks. So I was like, no, we not about to be in here like everybody swinging because what the fuck are we doing? Because it's like how much can
It's only so many hoes.
like for real, like how much can we really do? Like I'm good, like y'all go ahead and do your thing. But the thing is that back to emotional intelligence is more so that there's this running joke, right? And I'm going to try and get through this real quick. There's this running joke about how young men are the most vulnerable, or we're bitches, or we're babies whenever we're sick, right? And there's a running joke amongst women like, oh, they're the biggest bitches and blah, blah, blah. But honestly, this is the only time as a young man's rearing where he was actually able to be emotionally vulnerable. Every other time it's always, yo, suck it up, you a man, oh, that didn't hurt, scratch it off, you know, whatever the case may be. But when we were sick, mom allowed us to cry, be sick, hurt. Mom tended to us, you know, made us soup, you know, rubbed our head, rubbed our belly. That's the only time where young boys really got that sort of, you know, interconnection with a woman, whether it's their mom or whatever, right? So as an older man, and honestly, and I use, you know, emotional intelligence for men as a main problem, because men, if we're not connected with our emotions or feelings, a lot of whatever we feel that we don't understand, it ends up translating into anger, because that's the only thing that we've ever been, you know, allowed to feel is anger and frustration. So I'm about to fight you. I'm about to knock you the fuck out because you disrespected me. Not I feel a particular way, or why do you feel that way? Why do you feel you want to disrespect me? But I don't understand this. Now I want to fight. Now I want to slap you. You know, I'm on some shit. You know what I'm saying? But like what it is that, like I said, if we're not teaching young men how to actually embrace their feelings, we have more of this, you know, disrespect that's going to continue to happen, because we're not telling young men that like, yo, it's okay to have feelings. It's like, this is like, what are you feeling? Explain yourself. Use your words. Young men don't get that same courtesy like young women do. You know, young women get that, oh, it's okay, baby. Well, how do you feel? You know, like, why do you feel that way? We teach young ladies to, you know, really start to verbalize what's going on with them, but we don't teach young men to do the same thing. And I think that that is a major problem with all moms and all dads. It doesn't matter which gender, race, sexuality, whatever you identify as in the LGBTQIA community, it doesn't fucking matter. That shit needs to fucking stop. And I think that we really need to start diving into that, because when we're talking about a young man, you know, running into a train with all these young ladies, like, did we teach him that that's not okay? Did we explain to him how she should feel in that situation? Like, are we really diving into emotions with young men to make us even understand as older men that certain shit's not okay? You know, and that's a problem, because we want to hold men, and as a man, we want to hold men to certain standards, but when you really dive into it as a sociologist or a therapist, how men are actually raised, you can really see how that shit's developed as an older man. And like why he is the way that he is, and the shit that he's been through, and the shit that he's experienced, and the fact that as men, we don't have outlets. We don't really get a chance to talk to our male friends about relationship problems or anything like that, because the answer is, all right, well, let's go out to the club and fuck some bitches. It's not, yo, bro, let's talk about it. Let's see how you feel. Let's really dive into your real emotions so we can get you on the right path. We don't get that shit as men. So whenever you got a man out here running through a bunch of women, that man's been hurt. And another running joke is, oh, well, you got hurt when you was 12, or that was third grade. Why you still having that problem now? Because the man never got a chance to fucking talk about it.
Yeah.
He
And
never
goes back
got
to
anybody.
parenting.
It never went away. It's something that he's still running with today, right? So whenever we're talking about traumas and emotional intelligence, these are a lot of things that a lot of people got to talk about. And self-respect is another one, because a man who doesn't respect himself will actually give himself to anybody and everybody too. Just the same way with the young lady that doesn't respect herself, she'll give her body up to anybody and everybody too. You know,
Yep.
it's the same coin, two different sides. You know, but everybody's got their own different problems, especially whenever we're talking about sex and gender and relationships. But there's a lot of, I feel like as a man, and I really want to touch on this, a lot of love lost between men and how we're actually raised, because we're always raised to be tough and rough, rougher than rough, and fuck that shit. I just got stabbed. It's cool. I'm about to eat. You know what I'm saying? Like, we taught that shit. You know, we're not taught to feel. And that's a problem.
Listen, we gonna get, and we we might gotta bring.
Just thinking that, bitch, I told
You was there. You was in the walls. It's all right though.
you. Do you have a bug in one of our cribs or something? Like, I'm just so confused right now, because like, it's just so crazy. Like, how you had to be, like, literally, you had to be there.
Nah, I'm just a person that looks at all sides, and I've been through shit myself. So some of this shit is experience, and a lot of this shit is, you know, me just diving into my, you know, myself and observing other men and hearing other men out. Because I've always been a person that likes to listen to people talk. And the main thing that I always, you know, like to hear whenever people talk is, I like to read in between the lines. So I like to hear what you're saying, but then I like to interpret what you're actually not saying.
Absolutely.
Is that as a man, I can interpret better what you're not saying, because I felt that same shit, or I've been through that same experience. So, you know, it's a little bit easier for me to interpret men's problems than it is for me to interpret women's problems. But I was also raised by 3 women, so I'm also really good at interpreting women's problems and also offering, you know, information. And that's why I made a post. I don't know if it was a post or I sent that shit out. And I made a post, and I was like, am I the toxic nigga in my nigga relationships? But then I was also like, well, am I the toxic nigga in my you know, friend relationships with women? Because I'll give women information, but I also give men information too. Like, you know, because
no, why not? And for me, why not look at it like this? Why not look at it like you're building the gap? Like you're bridging. I mean, bridging the gap. You're bridging that gap where the disconnect is. And just, I mean, if that works out for you, and you still got your friends, obviously you're doing something right. Because I mean, we still here. We brought you on. We pulled you. You know, hey, come on over. We gotta talk about something.
Like, we've been friends for a while.
We've been friends for a motherfucking while.
I just made a post yesterday. I was like, damn, I went to college in 07. Shit, it's 2022. What the fuck?
Yeah. 15 years later, man. Shit. So, but yeah, y'all really laid it on thick today. Like, I'm so glad you got all together.
To be honest with you, the parents and the trap of being a parent, because I think parenting itself is a trap. Like, it's a hustle. Like, it's just part of life. Y'all brung it today. Y'all really brung it from multiple different angles and perspectives, from boys to girls to authority figures to social friends. Y'all covered the whole umbrella. Like, if it's raining today, get it. Oh, because the raindrops come falling, because y'all got it. Like, y'all got it. And I can just really, again, thank you guys. You guys wrapped everything up so well. And we really, really do appreciate you guys for joining us. Again, Reese, we want to talk to you about something else, because you really touched on so many different things today. Alyssa, mother, you brought the heat. You got the girls together and the boys together. Because she said, she said, that's an illness to me. I just don't understand. And sis, we was right there with you. Right there with you. And I appreciate the support that you guys gave one another as parents. And I loved it. This was an awesome episode.
I learned a lot today. And I appreciate you guys for having me on here. You know, I don't usually do this, so this is very new and different for me, but it was a very good experience, and I got an earful today. Learn something every day. Get 1% better every day.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate it. Alyssa's insight, and definitely appreciate you guys for bringing me on here. And yeah, I was a little bit nervous. I had my little saying on the side. So,
It's okay.
One day I didn't have a drink. I was drinking water today.
I had my water too, but I went through that.
I'm actually mommy in the day.
Yeah, but this topic, this subject, like I was more so anxious and nervous about this subject and topic because I have a whole lot of reservations about being a dad. And my own experience as far as being what I consider myself to be a great dad and what other people consider me, who's observed me with my actual kid, to be a great dad as well. And for the amount of shit that I had to go through in order to be where I'm at right now. And I'm still, being hassled, even though, but yeah, like I had a whole lot of frustration and anxiety about this topic. So I was more so anxious about how my actual feelings would lead me in this conversation. And
it's okay. And honestly,
right, and
that's
what the
why
actual topics were.
We brought you here because we know you're authentic and you have nothing to be nervous about. Like honestly, we just wanted to get your perspective. And you gave us more than that. Like you gave us a multitude of things. I'm just thankful. And you also just gave me an idea for another episode, actually for the both of you. I don't know if you will be interested in coming back on in the months to come, but I got something brewing in my brain. It was great sitting down talking to both of you. Like it really was. So listen.
Run it up. Let me know.
Run it right the fuck up, okay?
Right,
and for y'all listening and for y'all looking, that's my stylist. So when y'all see me braided up, period, she be putting
because bitches definitely got appointment pending.
Yes, I got you.
I might have one pending too. I might need something. I need some coils and some locks or something.
Yeah. Oh, speaking. So let's get right into it. So before we end the episode, so both of you, if any one of you guys got anything going on, let our listeners and our viewers know what you got going on in your life, your businesses, how to reach you on social media, anything.
For those who don't know, I am Lislated _ on Instagram. And one cool thing that I have going on that you could look forward to in the next couple of weeks, I'm actually drawing something up with the one who does my visuals, but they want to put something together for a breathing class for the youth ages 17. So look out for that. Yeah, we're gonna get it popping and get these little girls in here, get their fingers moving. Yeah.
Yes, hustling.
And my name is
amazing. Go ahead.
Oh, my name is Maurice. You can catch me on Instagram. It's @somegreatname. My page is private, so no, you can't just log on to that, John. And I'm more of a story person, so like I don't right now. I actually deleted all of my posts for a particular reason on my Instagram, but you can always catch me posting a story about something either funny or serious or enlightening. Also, I'm into a whole bunch of things right now. The most predominant thing that's taking up the majority of my time is me learning how to trade in the stock market.
I noticed.
I got through a company that I started out with through a friend from high school, because he's making over $30,000 a month doing his project. I think he's actually making over $100,000 a month now. But I started, diving into that, and 6 months in, I haven't actually, gotten into like really put my own money in there to play with it, but my demo accounts look amazing. So I know what I'm doing to a very strong extent, and I'm very confident. But I think that everybody right now should be looking to, and this is my own personal opinion, especially with inflation and the way that the stock market is moving right now, and the way that, the economy is moving right now. But I think that everybody should actually take some time out and invest in yourself and your own family, and try to learn how to make money in the stock market, or the Forex market, or whichever market, you're trying to get into. And there's multiple ways that you can do it. There's paid ways, there's free ways. You want to come through me, you're gonna have to go through the paid way if you come through me, because I have to pay myself. But if you want to take the time out and find it on your own, you can actually find information. There's tons of it out there. It's not going to be as direct because you gotta piece it together. But you can find it out there. You can learn for yourself, and I may even help you a little bit, but I can't give you everything. Because, like I said, my way gonna have to be the paid way. Everything,
period.
More, right? But that's pretty much what I'm in right now. And then, of course, just trying to live life, trying to be free, trying to, just be happy, healthy, and, stress-free and living your life. That's what I'm into right now. And also trying to get as much information as possible because, again, we are in the information world. You can pretty much find anything online. And here's a little quick tip that I'm going to tell everybody. If you're trying to find information about anything, right? You got Instagram, you got TikTok, you got YouTube. Between those 3 different programs, you can find the information that you're looking for. So if you're looking for particular information about a particular subject, right? You're going to find people on Instagram talking about it. You're going to find people on TikTok talking about it. You're going to find people on YouTube talking about it. You're going to only talk about the free shit because most of the things that you want to get online is paid for. You have to pay to get the information. You're only going to talk about the free shit. But between those 3 different websites, those 3 different apps, you can piece together the information. So you can get whatever you try and find. You just got to piece it together.
Listen, you speaking to somebody. Everybody uses these socials on a daily basis and uses multiple ones. So you speaking to somebody. You speaking to everybody right now. I know that's right. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I love it. Well, that just about wrap things up, partner. I mean, did you have anything else that you wanted to let our guests or our viewers know before we wrap up today?
No, that's about it.
Well, shit, I say this every once in a while, but truly, this is in my top 10 favorite episodes, most definitely. We want to thank you guys again, Miss Alyssa, Mr. Reese. Thank you guys for joining us. Meet the parents, people. Thank you for
the parents.
Yes.
That will be.
Come on, title.
Sing it.
Come on, song. Come on, give them a song for the ending, friend.
I got one.
Well, again, we thank you guys and our listeners and our viewers. Thank you guys for joining us for another episode of To Each His Own. I am Miss Lomax, and we have our guest, Miss Alyssa. And we ending out with Reese.
Appreciate
and
y'all.
Take a listen to us anywhere you get your podcast. And we out, y'all. Bye.
Bye.